When I make a top-down sweater, I like to do my sleeves 2 at a time, and I like to do the sleeves before I start the body. What I'll do is I'll do about 4 rows of the body just to make sure that it's established, and then I need to pick up stitches for the sleeves. I want to start that at the middle of the sleeve. So I'll do it probably at the center point where I cast on stitches for the underarm. The underarm is good for doing the sleeves, and you want to make sure it's not twisted, which this has gotten. Just took it out of my bag, but I'm going to pick up 9 stitches from here, then put all the stitches on the purple thread on the sleeve onto my needle, and then I'll show you what to do with the other sleeve. One tip when you are doing 2 at a time anything, you want to know the number of stitches you have so you can divide them in half. So I know I have 57 sleeve stitches, not including the 9 I picked up from the midpoint of the underarm. So I picked up 29 stitches, which is half of 57 plus 1. I'm going to pull my cable through just so I have a nice loop. And then I'm going to start picking up stitches again. Now that I've got all my stitches picked up, I ripped out my waste yarn, and I'm going to show you something that's kind of scary when you first start knitting 2 at a time anything or magic looping. You have to hold on to this needle, and then you're going to pull this. You don't need to pull it all the way through because you don't want it to fall out. You might even want to put like a stopper right here. And then you pull this. So you have like a little bit of space here. These aren't like super long needles, so they'll just fit the 2 sleeves and that's all. So then we flip it over, and I'm going to start picking up stitches. Yeah, I'm gonna start picking up stitches along this cast on edge. And now that I've done 29 of this sleeve, I'm going to look for the needle on this end. Where is that needle? Right here. I'm gonna hold on to it, and I'm going to slide the cable all the way here, and now I'm gonna start picking up stitches for the other half of this sleeve. Now that I have both sleeves on the needles, I'm gonna scooch the sleeves together so my needles can work. All right, now I'm gonna need my yarn. And I need 2 balls of yarn, 1 for each sleeve, because I do not want the sleeves to be connected. That wouldn't work. I'm gonna knit through 1 sleeve and come back. Another thing I want to show you is I usually pick up 1 stitch between the sleeve stitches and the cast on stitches, and then what I do is I will knit these 2 together and then continue with the rest of the stitches on the needle. Now that I've finished the stitches on my first row of my first sleeve, I'm gonna start my second sleeve with the new ball of yarn. So usually I just take your first ball of yarn and make 1 stitch, and then I hold a few stitches double. 1, 2, 3. One of those is a single, but it's okay. Then I'll just leave the rest as a tail, and I keep going, and I will show you what I do when I get to the extra picked up stitch on this side. So we go, all our stitches. Here's my extra picked up stitch. I thought it would be a good idea to pick up the gray, but I changed my mind. I'm going to just have that, and I'm going to undo that stitch, and then I'm going to do the 2 of these like an SSK, and then go on to the stitches on the second sleeve. Anyway, this method of doing 2 sleeves at a time before you do the body really takes care of second sleeve syndrome, which is where you do the body, then you'll do the first sleeve, and then your sweater might languish for months in a bag because you just can't get yourself to do that second sleeve. It's also really fun. It looks really funny, and people will be wondering, like, what are you doing? Why? What are you even knitting? Because it won't exactly look like a sweater, and eventually you'll have these 2 sleeves, and the sweater will be hanging like a little horseshoe. It'll be very funny. Also, I'm doing this yarn, sweater with waste yarn, and I've made this method where I had to measure out all my waste yarn. I found that the body was about 60% of the number of stitches around, and the sleeves were approximately 20% each. That will change as they taper down toward the wrists, but so this is for my 2 at a time sleeve situation, where I just threaded them on a piece of ribbon, and I threaded my body yarn onto this ribbon. It just helps me stay a little organized. It is very soft and very crafty, and it's kind of cute. Anyway, I hope you enjoyed this tutorial.